Chapter 13. The Wicked Witch Strikes Again. When Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion woke up the next morning, they were surprised to see all the dead wolves. The Tin Woodman told his friends what had happened, and they thanked him for saving their lives. After a bite of breakfast, the little group headed west again. Just then, the Wicked Witch of the West used her magic eye to see what had become of her wolves. When she saw that they were all dead and the friends were still trespassing in her kingdom, she flew into a rage. She blew twice on her silver whistle, and immediately a flock of wild crows surrounded her. "Fly at once to those strangers," she shrieked. "Peck out their eyes and rip them to pieces." Off the crows flew towards the friends. They were frightened by the sight of the huge cawing flock, which was big enough to darken the sky. "Let me take care of this," said the Scarecrow. He told his friends to lie on the ground around him and cover their heads with their arms. The Scarecrow stood above them and put his arms out to either side, as if he were stuck on a pole. Crows are always afraid of scarecrows, and these birds were no different. When they saw him, they changed their course. They flew in circles around him, but they were too afraid to fly any closer. The King Crow, who was bigger and smarter than the others, looked more closely and saw that the Scarecrow was only stuffed with straw. He called to his followers, "It is only a stuffed man. Peck his eyes out." The King Crow flew at the Scarecrow's face, but the Scarecrow fought back by snatching the king out of the air and twisting his neck. The other crows flew at the Scarecrow in a fury, trying to rip out his stuffing, but he was too quick for them. He caught each one and twisted its neck. Soon the whole flock of crows lay down on the ground. The grateful friends got up and thanked the Scarecrow for saving their lives. Then they started walking west yet again. Back at the castle, the Wicked Witch had watched the whole scene. She was even angrier now than when she had discovered that her wolves were dead. This time she blew on her silver whistle 3 times. A loud buzz filled the air, and seconds later a swarm of big black bees hovered around her. "Go find the strangers and sting them to death," the Wicked Witch ordered. The swarm buzzed away at once. The Tin Woodman saw the bees coming and warned his friends. Again the Scarecrow knew what to do. "Lie down quickly," he told Dorothy, Toto, and the Cowardly Lion. "Now," he told the Tin Woodman, "take out my stuffing and spread it over them as thickly as you can. The bees won't be able to sting them through the straw." They obeyed the Scarecrow and finished just as the bees arrived. The only stranger the bees could see was the Tin Woodman. When they tried to sting him, they couldn't hurt him because he was made of tin. All that happened was that the bees' stingers broke off. Of course, bees can't leave after they sting someone, so pretty soon all the bees were dead. Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion got up and filled the Scarecrow with his stuffing. They thanked the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman for once again saving their lives. When the Wicked Witch saw what had happened to her bees, she was angrier than ever before. 3 of her most powerful weapons were defeated because of a Tin Woodman with no heart, and a Scarecrow with no brains, and a lion with no courage, and a girl with a little dog. The Wicked Witch stamped her feet and threw things around until she thought of a new plan. She ordered 40 of her slaves, the Winkies, to kill the strangers. She gave them all sharp spears and sent them off. The Winkies had to do what the Wicked Witch said, but they weren't very brave. When they got close to the strangers, the Cowardly Lion jumped in front of his friends, let out a terrible roar, and raked the air with his claws. The Winkies were so frightened that they dropped their spears and ran away as fast as they could. Now the Wicked Witch was angrier than she had ever been in her entire life. The group of strangers were still in her kingdom. Her first 3 plans had been thwarted, and 40 of her slaves had run away in a panic. She had to find them to stop the intruders. Then she remembered her golden cap.